Welcome to Ultimate DIY, where you learn to be your own handyman. And today we're going to talk about window treatments. Not just any window treatment, we're going to talk about blackout shades because this is my media room, and what you see is my sofa that surrounds this, and I have special windows built above my sofas. So in other words, if I'm having to try to raise and lower these, I'd have to reach over my sofa. So I want something powered. You can see the power that I have ran to the sides, and I want it smart. I want to be able to use Alexa or maybe a remote and be able to raise and lower those when I need to. The company that Regan and I have picked is called Graywind Home. They specialize in custom smart home window treatments. They're a very innovative company. They have over 20 plus patents. They specialize in blinds, shades, and even shutters. So what we're going to do though today is I'm going to walk you through the entire process of how you would order this product, and I'm going to fire up my computer and you'll get to see my computer screen so that you get all of that done right. That was probably the most challenging part of this whole process, was figuring out how to order it. So we're going to go through that. We're going to go through an unboxing, and we're also going to go through the measuring, because the measuring is part of that order process. And then we're going to finish up with the actual install to make this easy for you to be able to duplicate. Okay guys, so the very first step that you've got to do is you're going to have to get this thing ordered. Now I already, through the magic of video, have these installed, but the install itself is pretty simple, but there are some important things that you need to know. The first one is, how do you measure? So when you measure, they are going to tell you need 3 different measurements. You need a bottom measurement, a middle measurement, and a top measurement. And what you are going to do is you're going to take the smallest of those 3, and that's going to be the number that you're going to enter when you go through the app and you order your shades. So if I'm measuring here and I have 58 and a half, 58 and a half, and 58 and a half, I am a perfect rectangle, so that's the number I would put in. But if yours was different, and say at the bottom here, you're 58 and a quarter, but 58 and a half here and here, you're going to take that quarter measurement, 58 and a quarter, it will be what you enter as your smallest number. I will tell you, I made a mistake on mine when I was doing it because I wanted it extremely tight. Well, it was so tight that it would barely go in. When it barely goes in, you can't get this pushed back to where you want. You're struggling and you're going to bend the unit. There is a way to fix that. You can use a block of wood and a mallet and tap it a little bit, and generally that'll give you just enough room to be able to get the unit in there. Now you do have a couple of different ways you mount these. You can mount them inside or you can mount them outside. If it is going to be mounted on the outside, it is going to go a little bit further over. We'll look at that when we order. You'll use basically the same brackets, but they will mount from the top to actually hold it on. Okay, so after you get all your measurements done, next you're going to need to go visit the Graywind's website, and let's get the blinds ordered. Open up the browser, whether you're using a smart device, a laptop, or a desktop, and type in graywindblinds with an S.com, hit your enter key, and it will bring up their home page. Now, I would suggest spending a little time on the home page. And oh, by the way, you're going to get a lot of these little pop-ups that'll pop up, and if you'll enter things like your email address, spin a wheel, things like that, you're going to get a lot of extras while you're here. We don't need to do that right now. I just want to show you how to order. Spend some time looking around and learn about the product and learn about the company before you place your order. Now we are going to go to the Motorized Smart section. There's one other thing I want to point out to you guys. You have a swatches section as well. If you click this, you can go in and order swatches for all of the different fabrics and materials and make sure that it's going to work for you in your home. Now let's go back to the motorized section. This is motorized and smart, and you have several columns depending on what type of a shade or blind you're looking for. We are going to be in the shade section. You can go to roller shades right here. If you had duals, you would go here, but we are going to do a roller shade. So we're going to hit that. It is going to open up a window that has all kinds of roller shades. Now you can narrow this down by looking over here on the side, and you can refine by blackout. I want blackout. So if I click that, it is going to open up just my blackout section. I have these to choose from. We have 4 different areas. The one that I want is going to be the Graywind Motorized Blackout Roller Shades, and we are going to do it in a vinyl. This one is fabric series, this one is a textured series, and designer series, and down here is the vinyl. That's the one that I want, and it's going to pop open with the actual screen where we start picking everything from our colors all the way through the motors and remotes. The very first thing that you are going to want to do is you're going to want to pick the color that you want. And they have another button here, by the way, to be able to order more of the swatches. So you can go back to that swatch section I showed you in the beginning. I like coffee. We're going to pick coffee. And now you're going to pick the valance type or style. What basically this is no cassette. I want my roller covered, and we are going to go ahead and pick a coffee to match the coffee there. We're going to pick the hem bar style. You basically have 3 choices here. These 2 are the same, but just different colors. You're going to have white or black, and here is the wheel I was telling you about. Your weighted bar in white, you have a weighted bar in gray, or we have a fabric wrapped bar. I actually like the look of that. It looks nice and slick. We're going to pick that. All right, guys, so the very next thing you're going to need to do is you need to decide if you want an inside mount or an outside mount. Inside mount simply means that the shade will be mounted inside of the window framing closer to the window. Outside mount means it's going to be mounted outside of the window, and it'll generally cover your window framing. Before you pick that, though, hit the how to measure button here, and they're going to walk you through some of the basics. They're going to start with the inside mount, and the main thing they're going to tell you right off the bat is this depth. The depth needs to be a minimum of 1 7/8 of an inch for you to be able to mount that inside. If it is less than 2 7/8 of an inch, though, they want you to understand that the valance itself is going to stick out from the top a little. That's not really a problem as far as the operation of the unit is concerned, as long as you have the 1 7/8 of an inch. When you go to measure, they're going to tell you to measure the top, to measure the middle, and measure the bottom. They're going to tell you to take the smallest of the 3, and it has your number that you list needs to be within 1/16 of that number. Now, to measure the actual height, you're going to go from one corner, middle, to the other corner, and you will write down the smallest of those measurements, and it can be within 1/8 right here. And then when you go to the outside mount, it's a little bit different. You're mainly going to be concerned with the measure width and the measure height. If you have trim going around that window, make sure you measure from that trim to the other side of the trim, and then I would add about 1 inch on each side. You can add between 1 and 3 inches for each side, 2 to 6 inches total for the overlap, because remember, your brackets that you mount will hold this out, and they have to be mounted here. You don't want to put the brackets on top of your trim. As far as the height, you're going to take that measurement, and you can add at least 3 inches, because the valance itself is going to take up a bunch of it, and you want it to go maybe past your trim at the bottom. So that is pretty much it on measuring. It's pretty simple. Now let's go ahead and move to the actual measurements. Now my measurements, I have 2 of the actual units, but the measurements are going to be exactly the same. So we have 58 and 7/16 on width. So we go 58, scroll down, right, jumping past it right there. And then we are going to have 7/16. So we put it right there. Now we are going to go to the height. Our height on these are going to be 22 and 5/8. So we hit 22, and we are going to go to 5/8 right here. Now we have the measurements actually in. They explain to you right here in purple how the fractions work, and then you're going to come down here to reconfirmation. All you're going to do is you are going to type out the exact same numbers. Now I have already entered them, so I'm just going to click it so that you can see. But what they will do when you send this in, they are going to compare this number with these numbers and make sure that they match. If not, they're going to be contacting you before they make your shades. Several choices here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 choices for motors. So they have a little button here you push, and it'll go through and explain the differences in all of these motors. I'll give you a little bit of an idea of how it works. This first one right here is going to work the BLE motor mainly with their app and a remote.
This one here, the Zigbee motor, is going to work with Alexa, and this Eve is an Apple one. This Matter will work with either Apple, Google, or Alexa, and this is your hardwired motor. But I have a little problem here. The hardwired Wi-Fi motor is not in stock right now. That is what I actually ordered and I have that I'm installing today. But I will go ahead and click the Zigbee regular, the battery-powered one, because they're very similar. We've got our motor picked. Now we're going to scroll down to our remotes. You have an option of no remote. You have an option of a 16-channel basic remote. You have an option of a 15-channel timing remote. And you have an option of the 15-channel timing remote with holder. That is this big rubber thing that goes around it. And I will tell you, it's pretty awesome. That's the one that I'm using, and that's what we're going to click. Smart Bridge Solutions. You can either do no, or you can use the Zigbee hub. We're going to do no because I am going to use an Alexa hub. So now you are going to come down to your roll direction right here, and we can do standard roll or reverse. We are going to do a standard roll. Charging position, you can pick the right side or the left side. Now, both of my units where I want them to charge is on the right side because I have hardwired wiring there. So technically, if I was picking the correct motor up above, I definitely want them on the right side on each one. We are going to go to solar panels, and this will explain, if you click it, how solar panels work. If you're interested in solar panels, keep in mind that they actually mount to the windows. On my particular situation, since we are powered by electricity, hardwired, I do not need solar panels. So we're going to put no. Now you can do a label. Now I've already done some labels here, but so we're going to click the one I've got. We're going to call this living room shade. So the very next thing that you need to actually decide is if you want light blockers. These will go on the side to actually help if you are doing inside mount. We're going to do no. Take a look at warranty. You have a 2-year, a 3-year, 4-year, or 5. We're going to hit 5, and we are going to add to cart. But before we add to cart, we can hit a 2, so we can do them 2 at the same time, since these shades are identical that we are needing to order. It's going to immediately pop up and give you an overview so that you can look and see if you've got everything right, and then you can add it to cart. So that's it, guys. It's pretty easy. So let's go ahead and let's get back to our installation.
Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and open this up real quick, take a look and see what's inside. Now, you're going to see it for the first time, just like I am. So one of the things I'm going to tell you, you can use scissors to cut these straps. You can use a razor knife. But remember, these are blinds in here, and I would be very careful cutting into that. So I'm going to take the knife and cut upward. So that way there's no way I cut the actual blind. So let's open it up and let's see what's in here. Okay. They do have a good thick piece of foam in there, so if I had cut through, I'm going to cut into that and not the shade. Good to know. So we're going to take and move those out of the way. And let's see what all we have in here. They have a little Graywind card, which I actually like, a very nice card. They have the instructions, it looks like, all going to be inside of this packet, and you're going to have all of your metal that you're going to use for mounting. It comes, actually, I could probably pull that whole piece out right there. And it feels like, and this is going to be the controller on the back side. So you're going to have your controller, you're going to have all the metal for mounting, and I'm going to keep all that together. And it looks fairly simple. You are going to have the actual shades themselves, and they're pretty much all put together. Now these are going to come with an electrical wire here so that you can plug it into a plug, or you can actually cut this and wire direct, which is what I'm planning on doing. So we will see how that actually goes. When I get up there, I may change that, but we're going to try and see. But it's all protected really nicely. There's even foam protecting the actual shade itself. I've got 2 of them. Obviously, we have the 2 windows. So at this point, we've got it all open. Let's go ahead and let's see how hard it is to get it installed. There's a couple of ways that you can mount this, by the way. You can either have this out flush or out a little further or all the way back. I chose to have mine all the way back, so when this goes down, it will be right up against the window. Now that also is a choice, because you could have this roll coming from the back side, or you can have it coming from the front. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you are going to take your tape measure. You're going to measure over 5 inches right here, and you'll make a mark. You're going to come over here. You're going to measure over 5 inches. You make a mark. And then you will take your brackets, which that's what this is right here, and you are going to actually place that in there. Now, how this is mounted, I have it backwards, not like that. It's going to go like this. You're not going to put anything in these holes, but you are going to put a screw up here. Now, they give you screws that have little anchors in case you're dealing with just drywall. I have solid wood above here, so I did not need those anchors. But that also means that the little Phillips head screws that they give you strip out very easy. So I ended up using decking screws. And I ran a decking screw through here, just made sure that the head was not going to bind with the little springs. Because how this works is you will, when you go to put the blind in, it is going to push the back of that with a spring and allow it to clip into place on the upper little clamp right here. So you have 2 clamps here and you have 1 long one here. So it's going to mount like that. You're going to push that up and push it into place. It's extremely easy. Just make sure that this is facing out and these are set just like this. Matter of fact, you'll have it right about there and you'll have another one right here. Keep your antennas back, and I'm going to push it towards the back of the bracket. And then it clips in just like that. Let's double check this side because I don't think that one's in yet. So we're going to do the same thing, raise it up, push, and there we go. That one is in. So I ran my wire boxes up here. I ended up drilling a hole right through the side into the box and took their cord, put it through, cut off the end, and wired it. Now, I had originally had wiring coming through here and out on the side because I wasn't sure how that was going to mount with whatever units I ended up buying. But with this particular unit, I didn't need that wire. So I cut it, got rid of it, and used theirs. Really simple, really quick. Now, you don't have to do that. That's an option that I did. But it just gave my windows a little bit cleaner, nicer look at that point. Your windows may be totally fine with that cord coming down because most windows are going to be a lot longer, or longer this direction than these are, because this is an entertainment room. They're very unique windows. All right, guys, so once you get this all installed, it comes down to getting your remote to work. The very first thing you're going to do is you're going to clip this in. You're going to look over here and you've got a little button. That little button is going to allow you to set your stops. You'll push it once, it'll start going down, and just as it hits the bottom where you want it, push the button again. That'll give you the bottom stop. Push it another time, it's going to start going up. And then you push it one last time when it gets right where you want to let it go, and don't let it go all the way over because it creates a problem. You'll have to pull it back out and get this thing loose again. But you'll push it that last time and it'll give the upper stop. These remotes, they have a really nice rubber case. You'll pop it out of the case. It has a little slot right here on the side. You're going to pop it open with a little screwdriver. There's a battery in there. You have to remove the plastic part of the battery so that the remote will start working. And then you have 2 set buttons inside. When you're going through your instructions, it will walk you through each step and it will tell you what to do. Now, if you have just one blind, super simple. When you start adding 2, 3, 15 blinds, you have to give each blind its own code. So in other words, this one I've got set at 04. The one next to me on that other side, I have it set at 01. So when you go to set this, you will scroll through. You'll start with your arrow buttons. You'll scroll through. Right now I'm on 00. You will go 01, 02, all the way through 15. So if I'm working this unit right here, I've got it plugged in. I will go through and I'll pick a channel for that one. And then you hold a button on the back for, I think it's 5-6 seconds, and then it will start flashing, telling you you're in the program mode. And now you are assigning and connecting to that motor. So just so that you're clear, because I had problems here, I messed up. I installed the one over here first, and then I came to this one. I did not pay close attention, and I hit my up buttons, and the two kind of locked together. This one started working and it got stuck up here. I had to pull it down, get it unstuck, but it messed up my limits. Now my upper and lower limits were not working. You have to go through the instructions and you have to reset it via the remote, your upper and lower limit. And when you do that and you reset it, then you can go back in with the remote and set your limits. Again, I found that I could not get it to work from the button again. At that point, I had to use the remote. Then you will get it set. When you get each one set and the way that they are operating, now when you go to use this remote, you can actually choose, scroll through it and choose which one you want to use and control each one separately. Or if I go to 0, 0, I can control all of them at the same time. If I push up, they all go up. If I push down, they all go down. Let's go ahead and take a look at how these work, because I know you're probably dying to see how it works since they're already up. So the first thing I'm going to point out is, remember, you've got 0, 0, which will control both, or you have to know which number each one is on. So I believe we had one at 4, so I've got it on 4 right now. And to wake it up, you generally will push it twice. Actually, that was my number 4 on that side, and you can see it working. There we go. Now we're going to move it up again, so we'll push twice. There it goes, it's up. So that's if I want to do one or the other separately. Now, if I want to control them both at the same time, I'm going to hit my arrows and I'm going to go back to the 0, 0, and now I'm going to push down. There we go. Both of them are working at the exact same time. And I will tell you one key on that is try to set your speeds the same. There are 3 speeds. You have 1, 2, and 3. I believe I have both of these at 2. And one thing to keep in mind, if you stop this one just slightly higher or slightly lower, or at the bottom, the same thing, it's going to affect the way they come up. They're not going to be exactly the same as they come up. So you want to try to get that as close as possible to each other so that it looks right. So now we're going to raise it twice, because you wake it up, push it one more time, there it goes. And now it's going up. So far, so good. Now, don't forget also, you can, when you go into program these, you can program it to where they will come down to just partial. So if, say, you want it to just come down part of the way, you can do that by just pushing a button. And you can also program these. You're going to set it up with dates and times, and you can have it set where, say, every morning you want these to raise open at 7 o'clock in the morning. You could have it through your bedrooms. You could have it everywhere. It's like your little wake-up alarm. And you can do that, program it, have it come open. So there's a lot of really cool functions there. Well, there you go, guys. It is in and it's installed. If you notice, I'm dressed totally different. The reason I'm totally different is it's been 2 weeks since I installed these units. And I have purposely waited to give you the final review until I get a chance to work with them for a couple of weeks so that I can tell you everything that I found that's good or bad about the units. That's why you'll notice my covers are still off in case I had to unwire and bring them down and work with them. So I have been playing with them back and forth trying to figure things out. So I'm going to point a few things out to you. These are the single rollers. You can get them in double roller shades, but being single, they don't have a double layer, and I tend to have a lot of light that tends to come in on the sides. And this is like my living room, media rooms, combination. So that being said, you got a couple of options. They do offer the little shade blockers on the side. Now, I have not tried those. That's the one thing I did not order, but you may want to give that a shot and see how they work. The other thing you can do is you can do an outside mount. Now, you may not like the way that looks, but it depends on what your objective is. I will tell you that in the living room here, it's not been such a big issue. You see all the light on the floor here coming through the side door, and I'm pretty shaded in this backyard. But I still get some light, and it has not really affected, my TV at all. And if I'm sitting on the sofas in the morning, that light's coming through, I can raise and lower these very easily. So a couple of the other things, though, that I want to tell you to make life a little easier for you is Name your shades correctly the first time. This is going to be shade 1, this is shade 2, and then in my bedroom directly behind the camera, I have shades 3 and 4, which are on a double roller. So you do that, first of all, you want them separately so that you can control each one separately. And then you can do your 0, 0 on your remote and you can open up everything all at one time with the remote. Now, these particular shades have a different motor than my shades that are in the bedroom behind you. These particular shades are a hardwired wireless Bluetooth motor. And on these shades, you have to literally download the Graywind app. And then from that app, you can go directly to Alexa, which is fantastic, works great. The ones that I have in the other room, though, they are going to be battery powered. They have a different motor. And in that motor, it actually requires the Graywind hub to be able to connect to certain Alexa models. And you have to look and make sure which model of Alexa you have to make it work. So that is an issue. My biggest problem, probably through the entire process in both of these rooms, was trying to figure out the Alexa part of it. Everything else was easy. Installing the units, extremely easy on both sets. Even the double one, which has a little bit more to it, was still very easy. It's when it comes to the instructions and trying to get the Alexa to work. Now, I have to give the company credit because they have a lot of videos out there. They're trying to find other people like myself that are putting these videos out, and they're trying to get that out to you guys to make it easier to install the units. They have their own little videos that they have created to help, and their customer service is actually pretty good. The only drawback to the customer service is I believe they're located in China and you generally have to wait 24 hours to get a response every time you send an email. So you'll send an email today, you won't have that response probably till the next morning. That's a little painful. But outside of that, they at least jump on it right away. They're very gracious. They work with you to try to figure it out and figure out what's going on. And most of the problems for me was the small print in here and trying to figure out which motor I had and what the hub it ties to, or what it is I need to do. I did not understand that I had to have the Graywind app to be able to go into the Alexa. I thought you just used that if you aren't going to be using Alexa. No, you have to have that app first. And that's where I had problems. And I was reading the little thing about the tags on the side, and I thought, okay, I had to have that. This particular unit, I didn't have to have the tags on the little antennas. Didn't need that at all. Now the bedroom one, totally different. I needed those tags to be able to tie in. All right, guys, so I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of how these work. I'm going to use the Alexa on one of them, and I'm going to use the remote on the other. Now, remember, when you use the remote, if you do 0, 0, it will open or close all of your shades at one time. Now, I ended up with two remotes for two rooms, but I tied them all to one, and I saved my other remote. So if you're putting in multiple shades, keep that in mind too. You can use one remote unless you want a single remote for each room. You can program that one remote to control them all. So let's take a look at this one. This is going to be shade 1. This is shade 2. So we are going to open that up. I'm going to click. You're not going to be able to see the numbers from way over there, but I am on number 2 now, and I hit up. I have this set on medium speed. You can go up to the quick speed, or you can even slow it down to the slow speed. Just like that. Now I'm going to wake it up again. I'm on number 2, and I'm going to hit the down key. There we go. Now that time I had to hit it twice to get it to actually wake up. And it comes down. There you go. Now let's see how the Alexa works on this one. Alexa, open up shade 1.
Okay.
I'm using the little Australian accent. I kind of like that one. A little different. Alexa, close shade 1.
Okay.
So there you go, guys. I hope this review helps you. I hope that you're able to go back in this video and watch it and figure out exactly how you need to install the unit. Do yourself a favor. Order yourself a set of these shades. Go to graywind.com today. I don't think you'll regret it. And we will see you guys on the next review.